Hi there everyone, and welcome to the second video in the SAM for Beginners tutorial series. In this video we're going to create our first server. So the first thing I'm going to do is to create a folder on the desktop which we're going to store our server in. So I'm just going to right click, new folder, going to name this one SA-MP tutorial. We're then going to head over to the the website again at sa-mp.com/download. We're then going to download the server. We're going to download this Windows server. I'm going to cover the Linux part later on, so as long as you have read and reviewed the SA-MP service agreement, all you have to do is to click on this link here. We're going to download it in the downloads folder, and once saved we're going to click on it, and here we can see all the files which are contained within this folder. So what we're going to do is to minimize the web browser, and we're going to open this newly created folder, and what we're going to do is to take all these files into the newly created folder. Okay, so now that's done, what we're going to do now is to take a look at all these files. The first file is just a readme file for the server.config file, and I'm going to cover this so we can actually delete that one. The second one is the server config file. Now this is a file that the server will read, and there will be a lot of configurations which the server will take into account. So if we just open this one, we can see a lot of configuration here, and the first one is the echo one, and basically this is going to write executing server config in the server console, and the server console will open. It's basically a black window. If you start the server, it's going to be a black window, and this black window is going to read from this file, and then it's going to write executing server config. We then have LAN mode, and LAN mode it's nothing we want to use. It makes the game a lot more accurate. However, it's going to take a lot more bandwidth, so it's something we usually don't want to have. The Archon password makes it possible to remotely, that is from the server, to control the server. That's why it's very important to change this password, and the server will not execute without changing it. For now I'm just going to add a random character, so I'm just going to write D. So now the password is changed. Heading over to the next one is max players. This is the maximum amount of the players that the server can hold. I'm just going to set this to 12. Now the port one is an important one. Remember that we set the default port, which was 7777, so we do not have to change this. However, keep in mind that if you rent the server from a hosting company, you not always get the default port. You often get another port, and then you have to configure this server.config file to use that port, and so the server will use that port. Okay, so the next one is the host name. This is basically just your name of the server, so we're just going to name this SA-MP tutorial. The next one is game mode 0, and this is 0 indexed, and what I mean with this is that it starts to count at 0. So 0 is the first one, 1 is the second one, and so forth. So this is the first game mode, and the first game mode is Grand Lark. That's the name of the code, or the game mode which we're going to run. We're then telling the script or the server that it should only run once. So if you want multiple game modes and you want to run them multiple times, you can do so. Now filter scripts is basically standalone scripts. I'm going to talk more about that later. We're also going to take a look at all these script files. All these are filter scripts, and we're going to take a look at them, as I said, and we're going to see if we want them or not. We then have announce, and this is if we want your server to be visible in the internet tab in the client. However, before we do that, we have to port forward. That's something I'm going to cover later. So for now, we're just going to leave it at 0. Query is basically something which is telling you if you want to or if you do not want to show information in the client about your server. What you then have to do is to go to the next one, which is chat logging, and this is going to be if you want to log the chat. Just leave this at 0. the web URL, because this is usually the place where you want to enter your your website. We're going to leave everything else as it is for now. I'm going to talk more about this later on. So we're just going to save this one now. And as long as your port is correct, as well as your Archon password, then it should start. So then what you have to do is to go to your sa-mp tutorial folder which we created in the beginning. And what you have to do is to double click samp-server.exe. Then user control is going to ask if it's okay to run, and it is, so we click on yes. And here it is, it started. And if we head over to our client, we can see that the server is started. We can see the host name, which is correct, the amount of players, as well as the mode and the map. So that's it for the second tutorial. And in the next tutorial we're going to connect and take a look at some of the basic commands which are from the beginning installed. Okay, so thanks for watching and see you in the next one.